Guys, we are this close to more than 100,000 new people flooding into Ashes of Creation for the first time. Probably in the first half of 2024. It could be quarter three, but I don't think so. I think it's going to be quarter two. We are this close. I think there were 15,000 accounts that had access to Ashes of Creation's Alpha 1. And I don't think every single one of those people actually logged in and played. And certainly they didn't play for any long period of time. There were very few people who actually played throughout the entire month. And Steven said back in February of this year that there were more than 100,000 people had access to Alpha 2 already. They've been selling those packages all year long. They created sort of a panic buy situation by announcing that those packages that give you Alpha 2 access were going to be ending and they were going to stop selling that. And they actually crashed the store, the Ashes of Creation store, during one of the live streams when they were, kind of re-emphasizing this is coming soon, that we're going to stop selling. So it's got to be more than 125,000. My guess is somewhere in 150,000 probably. And so that means more than 100,000 people who've never played this game are going to be loading into it, coming very soon. And I wanted to kind of tell a personal story and let you and let you guys know something that's coming that some of you don't realize. Some of you know. I have no doubt that this story I'm about to tell you guys will be like, oh yeah, I remember that. I was there 9,000 years ago. You're gonna struggle in Ashes of Creation, and it's probably gonna be a good thing. So here's a story that I've told over the last a couple of weeks. I've bounced around and been into several Ashes related Discords, and I've told the story to a few people. And the more I tell it, the more I'm like, this is really, really relevant to what's going on right now in the Ashes of Creation space. I was playing Ultima Online back in like 1998, 1999. I was 18, 19 years old. Graduated high school, didn't have a job. My parents basically removed me from my room because my parents are the type that are like, go out and live your life, you know. They always said you'll always have a place to stay, but we're not going to make it comfortable for you, which I think is the right way to go about that. Future parents, just FYI. So they kind of stuffed me in a corner. I had a little tiny desk with my little computer and a single screen, you know, back then, and a very small bed behind me, and that's basically all I owned in the world. And I was playing Ultima Online. And in Ultima Online back then, you could be killed by any person at any time for any reason, except for in the cities. You were safe inside of cities. And it was full loot. When you died, you lost everything. The mount that you had, your gold, your gear, any resource, like literally your entire bag dropped, everything. And I hated it. And I played 18 hours a day. I hated it for 18 hours every day. I mean, I had a schedule. I went to bed at the same time. I woke up at the same time. And when I got up, I started playing Ultima Online. And with the very quick exception of like making a sandwich or something, I was playing it every day. You know, I took a shower every day. Like, you know, that I wasn't like, you know, unshowered and unkempt and stuff. But I mean, I played this game every day. Man, I didn't have a life. Okay. That's not the point of this video. Ignore that part. And so then they did an expansion called Renaissance, Ultima Online Renaissance. And what they did was that they split it off so that every server was actually two servers or two copies of the world, and you could go back and forth between them if you wanted to. They were called Trammel and Felucca, and they were identical. Like, they were the exact same map, all the same features. Everything on it was the same, except for on Trammel, you were safe. There was no PvP. I think they had sanctioned PvP, like guilds that declared war on each other could fight. But other than that, there was no PvP. And then in Felucca was the other world, and it was basically the old Ultima Online rule set. So full PvP, full loot, all that. And as you would predict right now, as I'm saying this, you're thinking, yeah, I bet everybody went to Trammel. And they did. Literally on day one, everybody flocked to Trammel. Everybody played in the safe zone. Felucca was a ghost town. Like, there was usually like 40 people on that dang server, on that side of the world, on each individual server. And what I noticed happened was, there's probably a lot of you who don't know what ICQ is. ICQ was a like an early precursor to AOL Instant Messenger or MSN Messenger, which of course those were like early precursors to like Discord and stuff and TeamSpeak. But it was a chat service. And you didn't have a username, you had a number. You were assigned a number when you signed up, and then you had to give that number to somebody and then they could like add you or whatever. And I had like this immaculate, ICQ chat list, like 150 players that I'd met over the last 2 years or year and a half or however long it was playing the game. And I would say that the majority of those people played 14 to 18 hours a day. Like it was a bunch of no-lifers with no jobs living in their mama's basement. Except for I'm in Texas, we don't have basement. So it was a corner. I literally had like a corner of a room. Yeah. So I played the crap out of that game, and my ICQ list was immaculate, like I said. So what I noticed was that for about 2 months, everything was the same. We all played the same amount of hours. It was, we were all excited at first, like, oh my God, I was in this random mine. And I was in there for like 4 hours and I got thousands and thousands of iron ingots and nobody was able to kill me. It was awesome. And I was able to take it back to town and make money or whatever it is that we were doing, farming dungeons. And, so yeah, it was popular. It was extremely popular for a couple of months. And then, I wouldn't even say slowly. I would say pretty rapidly. My ICQ list started to dwindle for active users. People just they weren't on. And then pretty quickly after that, I noticed that I was only playing like 14 hours a day instead of 18 hours a day. And then before that, I was playing 8 hours a day. And then it was 3 hours a day. And then I was looking for other games to play. And I realized that it's funny that this term farming simulator is an actual game now. But I was using it in terms of differently back then, farming, not in terms of crops, but in farming gold, farming gear, whatever. It was a foregone conclusion. I knew when I logged in that I could go to such and such dungeon and make a path around that dungeon. Nothing in the dungeon had any chance whatsoever of killing me. There was not any PKers. There was no PvP. So I would go get my 50,000 gold or whatever the number was and go back home, and there was no challenge to it. There was no struggle to it. It was easy. And what I've noticed is that these video game developers, over time, they've been doing this. They've been making the game easier. They're saying, oh, people are complaining because the best gear is, from high-end PvP or high-end PvE, and they don't have the time or the skill or the inclination or whatever to do that. So let's just make it where everybody can get the best gear. Just put in a little time and everybody can get the best gear. And so what happens is they do that. They're like, oh, I can get the best gear. And so they log in and they rush and go do whatever easy, nonsensical, no challenge whatsoever task you have to do to get the best gear. They get the best gear. Then they go, what now? What do I do now? I have the best gear. Nobody can take the best gear from me. The best gear doesn't degrade, so I will have it until the next expansion. So Guild Wars 2 had an expansion. I'll go play that. And then they go play Guild Wars 2, and then they get the best gear in whatever, a month and a half, whatever, achieve whatever goals they might have, which are all a joke and easy. And then they go, oh crap, what do I do? Well, I could, World of Warcraft had an expansion, and they rush over to World of Warcraft. Now, World of Warcraft actually does, at least to some degree, make you get in coordinated groups and actually practice and try and all that stuff to get the very best gear, but you can still get really good gear without doing that. And so they just bounce around from game to game to game at each game's new expansion and go get the best gear, but nobody is dedicated to a game. There are a few people, I know a few people who've been maining the same game for a long, long time, but they're a very rare personality. The person who can just grind all day, every day, and it doesn't bother them in the slightest. They don't get bored at all. And more power to those people, but that's not the majority of people. People are bouncing around from game to game to game, and nobody mains an MMO anymore. But I think people are going to main Ashes of Creation, and they're going to complain about it the entire time. I think that's what's going to happen. The forums are going to be lit up with people who are complaining about, oh, I got killed by this person and I lost this much mats, and this raid boss is too hard. And every time I try to get in a great group for this raid boss, I don't get accepted because I'm not part of the clique of people who run this area of the world or whatever, like all the different things that we are programmed to complain about in MMOs, it's going to be doubled on with Ashes of Creation because it's going to be difficult. But the thing is, all of those people who are complaining are going to keep logging in and playing the maximum number of hours that they can play every day. So I wanted to let you guys know we're really close. We're close to playing Ashes of Creation in Alpha 2. And you're really, really going to struggle with it. We all are. It's going to be tough. It's Steven famously said, it's not a trophy for every one game. And dollars to donuts, the MMO that you've been playing most recently is absolutely a trophy for every one game. There's only a few out there that aren't. And most of you aren't playing those ones. So I want you to be ready. You're going to struggle. But you might play 18 hours a day.